If you're someone who is retraining their brain, if you're someone who is on the path of personal development and growth, if you're someone who is into creating change in your mind and in your body, this is for you. And through this video, I want to share with you some of the common problems that people come up against when they're trying to heal, grow, and transform, and a reflection on a conversation that I had recently with someone who is brain retraining. So my name is Bianca Spears. I have helped thousands of people across the globe to transform through better utilizing their brains, their bodies, and their energies, the tools that they were born with. If you love biohacking, if you love self-development, feel free to subscribe right here with notifications turned on so that you don't miss a beat. So getting into it, I had a conversation with someone who is brain retraining. That means that they are retraining their limbic brain through a particular program. There's a variety of programs out there, helping to shift their limbic brain responses so that their nervous system has new responses, so that they can take their body out of fight or flight, out of the inflammation that can be caused by that, into rest and digest, a parasympathetic response, so that they can heal and repair and grow in the way that we are supposed to, the way that our bodies are designed to operate. So having a conversation with this lady, she was saying how in her journey early in the piece, she went through a program and she felt that she couldn't express or acknowledge or allow certain emotions to come through because they're negative, and the perception was all on the positive. Now, you may have heard of the term of toxic positivity. This is where we're being so positive that we're not allowing negative emotions to flow, or what we perceive as negative. It's like, can't belong here, I'm high vibe only. And that's just not realistic, and it's not practical, certainly not helpful. And what this lady was saying was that every time she stuffed down those emotions and tried to look away from them, maybe pretend they're not there. This was not what she said, but I see this happening. I've seen it happening for years in my coaching practice and in the world around me, in the coaching space. And I see it happening with brain retrainers as well, who are wanting to heal, wanting to get dose chemistry running so that they've got those feel-good neurochemicals surging through their systems and their body can be in that growth and repair phase. However, there can be emotions that need to come up. Things happen in our lives that are upsetting, that are disappointing, that are potentially traumatizing. There can be grief, there can be unforgiveness, there can be guilt or blame or shame, or all of these things cropping up in our lives, in our conversations, in the scenarios that we're in, that need to be addressed, that need to be acknowledged, because they are a part of our reality. We do not need to dwell in them. We do not need to make them the be all and end all. We do not need to make them bigger than they are. But in my belief and my experience in my own life and with clients, these emotions need to be shifted. They need to move. They're not to be squashed down, and this can cause such psychological damage, but also literal and physical damage to your body. I met a lady, and you might have heard this story before because it just breaks my heart. I met a lady when I was running a group laughter session for a group of women many years ago. And I'd been advised when the session was booked that some will join in, some might sit on the sidelines, like make it exclusive and optional for everybody. There was one lady who said, I can't laugh. So she said she would sit out of the session. And I was like, everybody can laugh, it's just breathing. she said because of anger and emotions that she had suppressed, not once, but twice, she had ruptured her stomach, and she just had surgery on her stomach to put it back together, basically, because her emotional state had caused such severe issues inside her body that she had ruptured her stomach. And she couldn't laugh because she might split the stitches. That, to me, is heartbreaking. And she described it as a cultural thing where in her culture, people, women, do not express their emotions. They do not express their anger. They need to be somewhat subservient to their husbands. And you could write that off and say, oh, sure, in some cultures that's the way. But if we really look into it, it's happening across the board, across the globe. And not just in our private relationships. It happens also with things around the pandemic that we're going through, where you might feel something, but you don't think it's safe or okay to express that. So you just push it aside, you push it down, you don't share it, you don't express it, you don't allow it. It can cause major, major issues in your body and definitely in your healing journey, because the more we harbor these, which really we're just holding on to them. If you're not going to let them go, if you're not going to go, here, up and out. Okay, cool, it's there. I'm going to cry, or I'm going to say it out loud, or I'm going to write it down, or I'm going to get it out of my system in a safe way, in a healthy way. It's going to remain there and kind of fester, and sometimes get worse than it was because of the length of time that it's been with us. I realized through my conversation with this lady, not only that practices that help you to shift these things in a healthy and safe way are good. Of course, that was reinforced for me. I also realized that what has happened to me through my entire career is that people see me and the work that I do, and they think it's all fun and happy and lollipops. And the time that I was most triggered about this was when I was working one-to-one with a mentor, and he was saying, oh, you need to go into the shadows, or you need to go into the darkness. You're always so light and happy. And I'm like, if you did my program, you would see that actually we go there. We go into the shadow. We go into the ego for the program that I was running at that time. And now is no different. I have a program called Elevate. And I realized through this conversation that yes, while it's good to elevate your dose chemistry, to elevate your emotions for the reasons that I've already mentioned, because it helps with healing. It helps us to manifest in our lives. It helps in many, many different ways. It's not just about that. And in Elevate, as an example, even though it's called Elevate, we are elevating because we are taking things to the next level. Not just because we're elevating our chemistry, but because we're getting into some pretty deep stuff. One particular week, we go into blame, shame, guilt, unforgiveness, and we dig in there, see what's there, and then we use an exercise to shift through that as well. Super, super, super powerful session that Lindsay and I collaborated on, that I lead, that really helps people to release those emotions, to allow them, acknowledge them, and release them in a safe, held, and healthy way. And this is just so, so important. So that's my message for today. I did want to share that. I realized also, if you are in the brain retraining space and you are watching me, maybe you think Elevate is all about getting high vibe because I'm like the laughter lady. No, that's not the case. Majority is like, the blame, shame, guilt, and unforgiveness. I take them through a laughter wellness process to shift that. So we're using affirmations, we're using breath work, we're using laughter. We are shifting things and creating really deep, really lasting, and really meaningful change in the most positive ways. But it doesn't mean we're dodging around the deep and dark things that can exist within us if we don't move them on. So if you'd love more information on brain retraining, there's a link below for Vital Side, which is the program that I undertook when I was chronically stressed, and helps me a lot to this day with managing when I have its or symptoms pop up, like poor sleep, like anxiety, those kinds of things. So if you've never dipped your toes in, you don't know about brain retraining, there's a link below for that. There's a link below for Elevate if you are in the brain retraining space and you do want to know more about how you can take things to the next level, how you can bring in more play into your retraining, because again, it can be very structured, it can be very don't do this and don't do that, and very rigid and regimented. Bring in more play, bring in more purpose to your life. Something I've seen a lot in brain retrainers is that it's all about healing. And then they forget that they're here for a purpose. They have a purpose in this life. Bring in personalization. Make it suit you. You are the one who's healing through this. You are the one who's living here today, and you are very different to the time you started brain retraining. Even if it was a week ago, you've changed and grown. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity, and the beauty of our lives is everything changes. So how can you bring that in to your brain retraining practice? So those two links are below. I love you. I would love to hear your comments on this. If you're a brain retrainer or you've been in a situation where you might have gone, oh, I think I'm being a bit too positive right now, and I'm pushing down some things that need to be addressed, pop anything in the comments. I love to chat back and forth with you guys. Have an amazing day, and I will chat to you very, very soon.